Cool, man. Well, hey, it's great to meet you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into your life as a consultant, I want to know first and foremost, living through that pandemic was a big deal. It shifted and shaped so many things in our lives. How
Mhm.
many ripples from that time period still exist in your professional life that you're dealing with?
Joe, even before the pandemic, because most of my clients are not here in Houston, I was already using Zoom, right?
Okay.
And during the pandemic, of course, everything went to Zoom.
Yeah.
So professionally, there was not a huge impact. There was one thing though, when I would get a new client, wherever they were, I would fly there to spend 2 days with them to get to know their team. They could get to know me. That was the only thing that changed,
Yeah.
right? But for the most part, I was zooming anyway, so it
Okay.
didn't hit me too bad.
Okay. So let's get to the crux of what you do as an operations consultant. And to do that, I want to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day, 10, 11-year-olds. One of the kids in the back of the room is curious and he's like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer him?
I answer them by saying my whole goal is to create efficient and effective processes for my clients. By efficient, I mean the least amount of steps. By effective, I mean it's good for everybody that's doing the work in the process and for people that are impacted by the process, because usually processes cross departments. And then if there's an external customer, of course, they'll get some benefit too, right?
Yeah.
So in flow charting, that's my main thing is flow charting processes. And for the third grade kids, that's drawing pictures, right? We're
Yeah.
just drawing pictures of how things happen, right? What steps are being taken to complete the process. So that's basically what I do. We group up, have the right people in the room, go through the process, flow it out, make sure it's good.
Yeah.
And then the next step is to create what people call standard operating procedures. You'll hear people say SOP, standard operating procedures, to make sure that you create a good training tool where you have new people come in, they're assigned to a role, they can use the standard operating procedure to complete their task that their role is responsible for. That's basically it, Joe.
Okay. Okay. So take me back to when you were in the third grade. What was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Ooh. Originally, Joe, I wanted to be an architect, right?
Okay.
Still do. I just had this thing about buildings, right? Especially buildings with glass. I'm a glass freak, right? So even growing up here in Houston, we went downtown quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I wanted to be an architect, man, for back then, yeah.
So take me back to your roots. What were the seeds that were planted into you that got you into being into architecture and operations and helping people get to a better place? How did all of this evolve into you today?
You know, I'm analytical by nature, right? I believe everybody has at least one gift. Most of us have multiple gifts.
Yeah.
Um, I just feel like that's one of my gifts. And, in elementary school, they teach you who, what, when, where, how, and why, right? They
Yeah.
teach you to ask those questions. They should have never taught me that, because that's where it started for me, in being analytical, asking questions. And then along the way, becoming an adult, there was one corporate gig that I had. I was an operations analyst, and I got to my GM said to me, "Hey, I want you to go through this place and see how we do what we do, because right now it's a mess." Right. So that's where I got into looking at processes, um, asking questions, and it wasn't like work; it was fun.
Yeah.
So when I decided to leave corporate America, I asked myself, well, what is it that you will do? When were you having the most fun in corporate America? And it was when I was an operations analyst. So I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do, because I love it. It's leaning to my natural gift. So that's what I'm going to do. So here I am.
Yeah. So don't most companies in the daily grind of it, they don't have somebody like you that can pull the the camera back and say, okay, we're going to look at this from a macro level. I mean, don't a lot of companies get to a place where they need you to come in to be like, all right, we have things that we have to figure out. We're doing the day to day, we're trying to get by, we're doing payroll, all the things that need to be done, but there's definitely things that get put on the back burner that need to be addressed. Is that a widespread thing that you see with a lot of companies?
Yeah, most companies realize that they need to look at how they do what they do for several different reasons. You're getting a lot of customer complaints, right, about the same thing, or you're getting employee complaints about operations. Hey, we need to do this differently. So you start hearing that over and over and over. So they kind of realize, hey, we probably need to look at how we're doing things, but it's just a matter of taking the time to do it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
That's- well,
that's it. So let me ask you this. Who's been a hero for you? Who's been that bedrock for you in your professional life that's helped you be at the top of your game?
ooh, probably my dad, Joe.
Yeah,
Um, my dad was a military guy, right? Always creased. My dad was just even if he was just sitting around the house, man, he was always creased. Um, always looked good.
yeah,
And my dad was very, very calm, very, very calm. And he would ask questions, or he said a few things to me. One in particular, um, he said, "Boy, you're one of those people that can do just about anything they put their mind to, you know." And that struck me. It's like, wow, he's been watching me, apparently, right?
yeah,
Um, he would also say, I was the type, Joe, that I learned quickly. But if I wasn't learning at the speed that I thought I should have been, I would get frustrated.
yeah,
And my dad would notice and he would say, "Boy, give yourself a chance now, boy." So just my dad's, calmness and his way of dealing with things rubbed off on me, asking questions, um, listening to hear and not listening to answer. Um, that's played a big role, in my life, especially in what I do now, because I ask a lot of questions when I'm dealing with my clients. And I have to be diplomatic. I'm not trying to make them feel bad. When I ask the question why, I have to make sure they understand. I'm not asking why you do it like that to say you're doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to gain understanding. So my dad's calmness has rubbed off on me in dealing with people in general, but especially with my clients.
yeah. So let me ask you this. When you look at the arc of your career, what was one of the toughest clients that you ever had, but you learned the most, you grew the most? You didn't realize it, but you had
Mm.
that moment.
Ooh. Um, there was a client. Um, he was sort of a control freak, Joe, and it didn't turn out well, but it allowed me to grow in the sense that I had to stand my ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
In the sense that, hey, you brought me in because of my expertise, which means you're going to have to allow me to do what I know how to do versus you telling me how to do it. So you're going to have to make a decision. Do you want to do it my way or do you want to do it yourself?
yeah,
You know, it would have been easy because, there's money tied to a client, right?
yeah,
But you have to be true to yourself and not worry about the money because had I allowed him to keep going in the direction he was going, I wouldn't have felt good about myself.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I was ready to walk away from it, and I asked him, "Hey, are you willing to do what I'm suggesting to do based on my expertise, or do you want to do it your way? You got to tell me right now
yeah,
because." And this was an out of town client. I was sitting, in this conference room with he and his people. And the comment he made, Joe, was, I'm paying you, you'll do what I tell you to do, right in front of his people.
Wow.
And I'm like, you got a choice now. Either you can knuckle under or you can stand, right? And I told him, I said, it's real easy. It'll be real easy for me to go to Disneyland because we were in Orlando. We go to Disneyland. I'm gonna be here for 2 days anyway. We go to Disneyland. I get on a plane, go back home.
Yeah.
So you got to tell me what you want to do. Um, Either you're gonna lean to my expertise or I'm going home. You tell me what you want to do.
Yeah.
So that helped me to grow in not worrying about the money, right? But being true to me and my skill set.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. In the realm of business, if you could meet one entrepreneur, one business leader that you admire, spend a little time with them, because that's how we learn. We learn from people that are greater. Who
Hmm.
would that be? Who would you love to meet and hang out with?
Wow, Warren Buffett for one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a great humble person. Um, who else? Um, Mark Cuban. Um, mm, um, that's about it, Joe, really.
Yeah. No, I dig it. No, that would be, those are heavy
Warren Buffett
hitters.
for sure. Warren
Yeah.
Buffett for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, his story's crazy. I mean, he goes to the same McDonald's. He has the same house, the car. Like, there's a level of. I remember there was a 60 Minutes was with Jeff Bezos years ago, and he was in a
Hmm.
Honda Accord, and they were like, "You're worth 10 billion," or yeah, I think at that point it was $10 billion. Why are you driving around in this? And he was like, "It works, right?"
Hmm.
That frugal mentality that
Hmm.
goes
Hmm.
into it.
Hmm.
That always amazes me. Um,
Hmm.
what has allowed you over the years? What is it that gets you up every morning to be at the top of your game so that you can make a real impact with clients, but you also have to evolve as a human being? What's that collective energy for you every day?
Just knowing that I get to do what I love to do.
Yeah,
You that's first and foremost. I get to do what I love to do, and then I get to see how what doing what I love to do, the positive impact that it has for my clients, the long-term impact that it has for my clients. That just being able to get up and do what I love, man. It's like, come on, let's go.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you. You can give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this career you've had, this life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give your younger self?
Pick something, right? Pick something to focus on because that's when um, your life can blossom.
Yeah,
Like it's when we're scattered and trying to do this, trying to do that. It usually doesn't work, right? So if you pick 18-year-old Errol Allen, pick one thing that you want to focus on, right? So that as you focus, you become very, very good at it, right? And you totally focus, concentration is on that and not on three or four things. Just pick one thing to focus on.
yeah. So of all of these things that you've done in your life, the evolution of your career up to this point, what are you the proudest of?
Woo. Um, just having the courage to step out on my own. Um, of course, I have kids, Joe, and I'm
Yeah,
proud of my kids, and I have 4 grandkids. I'm proud of all of that. But in just speaking about myself, just having the courage to bet on me.
yeah.
You know, all my friends, man, thought I had lost my mind, Joe, when I left corporate America. I was in my 50s, man. I was 53 years old.
Wow.
And she's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
But I just felt that's what I needed to do at that particular time. So, just I'm proud of the fact that I didn't allow fear to stop me.
yeah.
Because fear is there, right?
Oh, yeah,
It's just a part of living, right? That you have fear, but it's when one can go on anyway, right? it's just like playing sports. We think because guys are professionals that they have no fear. That's not true. They've just learned to play through it. You
Yeah.
know, I've heard some of the stories where there's this one guy. He's from Texas, Eric Dickerson, and
Uh,
he talked about the first time he played against Lawrence Taylor, and when they called a play, and he was on that play, he was supposed to block Lawrence Taylor. And he said, man, my hands were shaking. He said, I was scared to hear him say that, right? Knowing what type of back he was,
uh-huh.
in college and in the pros, guys in the Hall of Fame now. You would never expect that to come out of his
Right.
mouth, right? But that's just, they've just learned to play through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'll never forget that story when Lawrence when he sacked Theismann and broke his leg and called him
Mhm.
over. Man, that dude was in so many monumental plays. He was just all over the place. He
Yes.
was he was the quint because coming from Kansas City, of course, we got the good football team and the dynasty and all that.
Mhm.
I think about
Mhm.
Derek Thomas and all those guys, but
Yes.
Lawrence
Hmm.
was he was the original man. He was a beast.
Yeah, he
So
was, man.
he was from that ilk of the Steel Curtain in Pittsburgh when they would just dominate and take people down, you
I
know.
hate Pittsburgh, man. I hate it.
Yeah.
I have much respect for them, man, but they would always take the Oilers out of the playoffs, man.
That's the thing. I remember those old days with the Oilers. The Oilers had a great team, man. They played in the Astrodome, didn't they?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Is that structure still is it still around?
It's still standing. It's right next to the new stadium,
That's what I
man.
thought. I
Yeah, you
thought I
could
saw
throw
an
a rock
area.
and hit it. Yeah, you could just throw a rock and hit it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm glad they kept that around. So this is a natural segue real quick. What's the best thing about living in Houston?
Oh man, just the variety, the diversity. If you like to eat, man, there's always, somewhere good to go. The different cultures. Um, if you're an art person, we have the museums.
Yeah.
If you're a theater person, there's the theater section downtown. Actually, museums, Joe, I can walk to the museums. I'm like 3 blocks away from most of the museums.
Yeah.
Um, the the people, right? Most people here are nice, and courteous, Southern, we had that Southern hospitality going on. But there's just so much to do here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that Dusty finally, after that long career he had, he finally got his championship.
Dusty Baker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too, man. He
He's
had been
such a
around
cool
so
cat.
long. Yeah. Yeah.
Just, I mean, and he's been in baseball forever. He's a great guy. Like, probably one of the best dudes that was ever in baseball was him. I mean, from his incarnation of being a player to getting into managing, and just, I'm glad he got a ring before it all came to a close.
Yeah. 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 He just a good dude, just committed to
Yeah.
baseball. That's his total focus, man,
Uh-huh.
was baseball, playing it, coaching, managing. That was just his thing.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
let me ask you this. At the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, Errol. Family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Man, I guess in an humble way, um, I'm a laid back person who has the ability to see things from a different perspective. Um, who can um, who's interested in helping people, whether that be an individual or a company, just whoever. I, I think generally I'm a good person. Um, we all have something we can work on, but I just feel like I'm a helpful kind of person who's interested in seeing people grow and to be the best that they can be, helping people to see what their gifts are, and and teaching them to focus on that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If anyone out there wants to hire you, learn more, has any questions, or they want to reach out, how can they do that?
Just go to documentyourprocesses.com. That's my website. Um, hit me through email, Errol@errolallenconsulting.com, or even call me 281-467-9189.
Okay.
Just reach out.
Okay, cool. Errol, this has been great. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Have a great new year, man.
All right, Joe, you do the same, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, man.